Hello there, I'm Scotty, and you're not. And we are very shortly almost done with this. I can't wait. We are reviewing. I got Remake, and I picked the 2010 Clash of the Champions, starring Sam Worthington, Gemma Arterton, uh, Mads Mikkelsen, Alexa Davlos, Ray Fiennes, and Liam Neeson, among others like up and comers like Luke Evans and Nicholas Hoult are also in this. And this was a bit of a weird watch for me. I loved the original 1981 film. I grew up with it, and when I rewatched it and reviewed it for this channel, I really enjoyed it. Watching this, obviously with remakes, they're going to change some things. But I think most, if not all, of the changes they did, I don't like. I feel like, this doesn't only take from the original Clash of the Titans, but also they also decided to take from The Lord of the Rings, 300, and strangely enough, Disney's Hercules at some point, and just put it all together. To give us this film. A film that I must note was released in 3D but not made for 3D, so I heard that it was terrible in 3D. But I thought this movie was okay. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I did have problems with it overall. Like, Sam Worthington, whatever happened to him. I think he's a good actor. Not great, but good. He was in Terminator Salvation. He's in this. Avatar. Apparently he's coming back for the new one. Was that Man on the Ledge he was in? I never seen that one, but he was hot shit for a minute there and then disappeared. He doesn't bring charisma to this role. He sort of just, because they wrote Perseus as the character who hates the gods because of something that happened at the beginning of the movie, which was a change from the original. So he hates the gods and wants nothing to do with them, and it's sort of angry the entire film. And he comes off as just pissed off the entire film. And if that's supposed to be the character, fine. But what if Sam Worthington was just pissed off the entire time? Who knows? There are other great actors, like I said. Liam Neeson is Zeus in this. Ray Fiennes is Hades, who was not in the original, and that's another change I don't like, because like I said, they take Disney's Hercules a little bit. The effects, of course, you can only improve on the effects, because it's CGI. I know CGI gets a lot of hate. I think the effects are better, I would say, in the technical standpoint. In a viewing standpoint, there was something about Ray Harryhausen's effects in the original that make it timeless. Right here, it's CGI just like every other film nowadays, and it's fine, it's good, but you just keep thinking about those Harryhausen effects. Let's go ahead and talk about the changes, because I want to talk about the changes. And right away, we get a change that, like, this is just. So in this version, we don't get the story right away. We get a flashback a little bit later, but they find the coffin with Danae and Perseus, baby Perseus, in it. But Danae, his mother, is dead in this one. She did die in this one, and Perseus survives. And in this version, unlike the other one where she survives and is with him on the island, here, she dies, and he's found by this fisherman and his wife. Let's see, a demigod found by an old couple. Who put the glad in Gladiator? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's not all they take from Disney's Hercules, believe me. So, he's raised by them, and we see like a young Perseus, and we find out that they're going to have a daughter, or they're going to have another child, and it ends up being a daughter. So 10 years later, 14 years later, whatever it is, Perseus is now basically an adult. It's 10, because he has a 10-year-old sister, whatever. 10 years later, he's basically adult, and as they arrive on Argos, not Chappa, like the original, but Argos this time. The people are destroying a monument to Zeus, where after it's destroyed, Hades shows up with his furies and attacks the people of Argos, and also attacks Perseus and his family, killing his family by drowning, but Perseus survives and is taken to Argos, whatever. And that right there. This is what starts one of my biggest gripes. In the original film, and I know this is end up being like a original versus remake, so I might not even do that video, and it's just, point of reference people ask, but in the original, okay, so in this version, because of what happens with his adoptive family, Perseus now hates the gods, wants nothing to do with them, does not accept his gifts, and pushes them away, saying, I'm going to do this as a man, and I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to do it as a man, and wants nothing to do with any of the gifts. In the original, Zeus gave Perseus gifts to fight. Sure, he kept losing them and forgetting to grab his sword, but still, he accepted the gifts because it was his right to accept those gifts, but here he's like, no, I don't want anything to do with it. He even gets a sword that goes from like the stick. When he grabs it, turns into a sword, and he's like, no, and he gives it to Mads Mikkelsen. I forget his name. But he's like, if you need it, it's in my bag. And that's another thing. In the original, it was Perseus and 2 other people who went on this journey. And by the end, it was just him, because the others turned back or whatever. And this, he has a whole army, which kind of reminds me of 300. They go on a quest. And also Lord of the Rings, because we all go together and we do this. And much like 300, everyone but the main character, everyone but one person, because remember there was one survivor in 300, die. And this one is the main character. And they, we get the scorpions, who in this one are giant. I did like that change. Giant scorpions. And there's more of them. Take them down. But we also get the Jinn, which wasn't in the original, and it's okay. That's okay. Another change in this one is that Calibos and King Chryseis are not separate entities. So they also change Perseus' backstory that doesn't put Zeus in the best light. In this version, Danae was Chryseis' wife, not daughter. And in this version, Chryseis, he denounces the gods. In the original, he was turned in, he was punished, but he was, he was turned in. Yeah, that's what it was. In the original, no, he wasn't. In the original, he was punished by other means. Chryseis. Yeah, okay. No, I'm trying to think. Because I thought they separated Calibos and Chryseis in this. No. They made Calibos and Chryseis the same character in this. In the original, they were separate. I think. I don't remember. But that is a change. But in this version, to get back at Chryseis instead of, changing him, he turns into Chryseis and impregnates Danae. Yeah, I don't know if it's different amount of limits down here. We call that rape. Even if she thought it was her husband and gave consent, it's still actually not her husband and is considered, he technically had sex with a woman without her knowing. It's technically rape. Just not in the best light here. And from that came Perseus. And of course, much like the original, they get outcast, but she dies this time. And Chryseis is turned into Calibos. Well, I thought in the original they were. I don't know, but played by Jason Fleming, so who knows? I haven't watched the original in a long time. But yes, and I guess like him being Calibos, if it wasn't a change, I don't know. But like they painted him, and so back to Hercules again. As I mentioned, it is Hades who causes the death of Perseus's foster parents here, and he's the one who is going to release the Kraken. Not Maggie Smith's character from the original, who's not even in this one. Yeah. So he's the main villain, much like Hercules in Hercules, Disney's Hercules. So yeah, I don't know. It's fine, I guess. The biggest head scratcher is that this version, Perseus is basically forced to go. He's like, oh, you coming with us, and we're going to fight him. And he's like, I'll do it as a man. He's not doing it to win Andromeda's hand. Andromeda is probably the most unnecessary character to bring back for this movie. She's not the love interest. She's not even anything really to save, you know? There's nothing with Andromeda. She's just there. And she meets Perseus all for 1 second, if even, in Argos. That's it. There's no love interest. In the original, he's fighting for her hand in marriage. He's doing that to stop the Kraken so he can marry her. Here, he's just doing this stuff to stop the Kraken. And who's the love interest? Well, a new character introduced in this movie, Io, played by Gemma Arterton. And she's fine, but it was halfway through the movie that I realized, she keeps popping up, but I realized, oh, she's the love interest, not Andromeda. Because they barely show Andromeda. After her initial appearance and saying she's going to be, sacrificed to the Kraken, we don't see her until the end of the film. Yeah. So she's not, mentioned throughout. She's not anything to Perseus in this. She's just there. And so we have the scorpions, the Jinn, and then of course they go to see the Stygian witches, and the eyeball thing, which I like the way the eyeball looked. Actually, had a little thing that attaches to your eye, hanging that. And of course, like the original, he gets a hold of it and is gonna destroy it. They say you have to go to the River Styx, to the underworld, to fight Medusa, get her head, and use it to stop the Kraken. So there you go. And I like the design of Medusa, although they did sexify her a little bit, unlike the original where it was like a threatening monster. Even with the Harryhausen effects, here it's very sexual, sexy CGI character. And this is where she kills every single one of the remaining soldiers, except for the two. They weren't really soldiers, they just wanted to come along. And now I think about it, they're kind of useless characters. They're supposed to be the comic relief, and they're there and they're like, oh, we cannot join you anymore, we cannot go to the underworld. And then they leave and they show up during the climax to help a little bit. There's also this character, I don't know who he's supposed to be, but he's like one of the people in Argus that keeps preaching the gods must be fed, they must sacrifice. I don't know who he's supposed to be, but he's very annoying, and he gets squashed later, which is very fun for me to see. But everyone dies, and I feel like there's something that was taken out of the script, or that they forgot, because it was Mads Mikkelsen's character, because Perseus made a joke, and he's like, "What? You don't laugh? You don't smile?" And he goes, "I will smile once we have completed our quest," and he gets killed. And so we don't get to see that. I feel like that was building to something, and that doesn't come back. So why have that line in the movie? dies, and Perseus is on his own. They also made Pegasus black in this. I don't know why. I really don't know why. He doesn't have like the magic shield or the helmet. He has the sword, and like you think it's gonna be this big? Okay, I need the sword moment, but he only uses it because this other sword is broken, and he uses it to kill Calibos, and that's it. Then we finally get to the scene in Argos. And we get the reveal of the Kraken, and he looks pretty good. I do prefer the design in the original, but he does look pretty good. And it's instead of this quick fight like in the original, where it's like he comes in there, he fights it. This is the big climax. Lots of stuff happening. He does eventually turn stone. Much like the original, he loses the bag, but he is able to get it, uses it, turns it to stone, and then he and Andromeda fall in, and then they do this where she's like, "Oh, you can rule as a king," and he's like, "No, I don't need that." Like, oh, like he's gonna rule with her because Io gets killed by Calibos. I forgot to mention that, and so it's like, okay, I was really confused. I'm like, oh, she's gonna be the love interest. Then she's killed. I'm like, wait, are they? Because I was like, wait, are they going to? She's been a love interest the entire time, and someone. That's what I felt like at first. Like, oh, she's the love interest. No, wait a minute, we can't do that. He has to marry Andromeda. So she gets killed, and he marries Andromeda anyway. No, because she offers the rule with me as king, and he's like, no, I cannot do that. I'm not a king. I'm a man. Because, he doesn't want to, I'm like, okay, so why kill her off? And apparently, I don't know. Apparently, Perseus had to be the only one to come back, I guess. That's one thing I got from it. Because Zeus comes in and he's like, I once again give you an offer to join me on Olympus. He's like, no. And so he's like, okay, but you won't be alone. And brings Io back to life. And I was really confused when she was killed because I thought Io was a goddess. But maybe she was mortal the entire time. I thought she kept popping up out of nowhere for no reason. Like she teleported. I don't know. But, yeah, so they get married. Or something. I don't know. I haven't seen the sequel. This got a sequel. I don't think I'm hiding anything. I don't think I'm surprising anyone by saying I prefer the original. This was fine for what it was. It got in the middle of the road. Because there was some stuff that was enjoyable, but overall, I just didn't care for it. You think that Clash of the Titans would be primed for an update if done right. And I know a lot of my problems come from the changes that they did. And you saying, Scotty, sometimes changes can be good. But I didn't like some of the changes. Him hating the gods has no purpose. Like, what is the point? I understand he would be against the gods for being, shut out from everything. That's fine. But they literally went out of their way to change the opening to where he gets adopted by these people and then kill them, so he actively hates the gods. He can't just have he can't just have a gripe with the gods for being left out and pushed away. No. The gods are responsible for his foster parents' death, so he outright hates them. That doesn't work for me. Perseus, in the original, was not a hateful person. He accepted the gods' presence. He was, very noble, very, very understanding. He didn't hate the gods. I think they made the character of Perseus worse in this than in the original. Even as goofy as he was in the original, it came off worse for me. So yeah, it's middle of the road, definitely. Ain't gotta pick the next one because we know what the last one's gonna be, or at least if you don't, I will tell you. It is Keanu Reeves. Let me get this thing open. Here we go. Keanu Reeves. And I already picked the movie I'm doing, so yeah, what are your thoughts on Clash of the Titans? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.